Go ahead.
Hi everybody, it is 4th of July weekend and we're at the sanctuary and we're going to give you another garden tour update. It is July 2nd today, 2022.
Yep. So for recording purposes, what I'm using is the GoPro Hero 10 with the media mod on it, and I'm using the DJI wireless mic. See, has got one on her shirt and I've got one on my shirt to see how that works. And I also am using the GoPro Karma Grip, which I think is the best one with the GoPro Hero 7 attached to it. So right now we're by the Western Garden plot, and outside here we can see a little bit of the triple crown thornless blackberry plants. Fortunately, the deer have not been decimating these ones like they have been doing with our blackberry plot up there a little bit further north on the property. The deer go through there every night and gobble those right up because we don't have fencing there yet. So these are the triple crown thornless blackberry plants, and they produce big, delicious blackberries. So let's go around and we'll take a peek at the gooseberries. So the gooseberry plants, these are ones that we're multiplying, propagating new plants for us to be able to sell in the future. We've got a whole bunch still over there in the greenhouse that we've got to sell. But the deer come through here every night and gobble them down. These do have thorns. They are very tasty. They don't taste so great when they're not ripe, but they are absolutely delicious. You got a couple of berries there, do you?
Yeah, I got one under my finger there.
But these were loaded with berries the other day. But the deer sense when they're ripe, and they just go right down and they suck them right off. And they go all the way around the outside as well. So let's go inside. So I was able to get a little bit of work done over in this area. This is a place where there was a large hoop trellis made out of cattle panel that we had attached to T-posts. And we took those down this spring. And then I took all of the soil and the wood chips and spread them out with Elon, the excavator. And the other day I came in here and tried to smooth it out some and pick up as much of the tape from the cardboard that we hadn't removed tape from. So we do lots of sheet mulching here. And I don't get all the tape off of the cardboard when I do it. So there's little bits of tape still here as well. So I've still got more to clean up, but we'll do more perennial plantings over in here in the future. We're just a bit overwhelmed with everything we've got to do now.
No.
Yeah. So the other thing I would say over here, these are the hiscaps or the honeyberry plants right here. And I did take some softwood cuttings, but we were unsuccessful because I don't have an automated misting system. Same thing I did with some of the blueberry plants as well. So I'm not going to do it again until I get a automated misting system set up and all. So you want to tell us about the blueberry plants, hon?
Yep, I started picking yesterday or day before yesterday. The blueberries, there are 3 rows, well 2.5 rows here, and there are different types. Some are actually bigger berries I found, when I was picking. I'm going to have to come every other day and do it, so today's the day to do it because they don't all ripen all at once. And as a matter of fact, you look at it, you say, oh, that's nice and blue. You pick it and you look at the underside and it's pink. So you do the best you can, with the sun out. But we love blueberries, so this is going to be fantastic having some of these. We put it in our smoothies, we put it in our cereal. Not making as much jam lately because we've just been kind of eating the fruit in our oatmeal in the morning. And we were adding sugar, cutting back on the jam. So I think I might hold off a little bit this year on that.
We do have some weeding to do in here, and again, those are the honeyberries over there, and they're still producing. They'll produce for a while. You can see some honeyberries right up under here. We produce so much that there's just no way for us to be able to harvest them. We didn't harvest any of the cherries. The raccoons got all the cherries.
They like them.
Yeah, and the aronia berries, those are we don't like those as much. But right now, like the red currants are. I see the bushes out back are just completely full as well.
I have here, we could show 2 in my hand. So you know, when you look at this, they both look like they're ripe, but this one's fully ripe. But see, that one's pink on the bottom.
Yep.
So, I mean, it still tastes good, but you try your best to get the bluest ones.
Then what do we have here, hun?
We have some red currants left.
Red currants over here, and then hosta berries.
And hosta berries
Yep.
and curly willow.
So we did, I did a video recently about the living fence that we're starting, and at the same time, now this is drip irrigation, so these are going to look better than the ones that are out there fending on their own, but these are the same hardwood cuttings, and you can see some of them are already starting off and all, and some of these will be using for living fences, and some of them will be selling as well. So that's pretty good. And the all of the lupine are doing pretty well along the fence line right now.
Yeah, and you can see here is where it took forever for me to go ahead and weed, but because I was weeding around the lupine and we have a lot more, and then it got overwhelming, so Kevin helped with the, what do you call the thing?
Stirrup hoe.
Stirrup hoe, which, you know, got rid of some of the lupine, but some is still there, but it was just getting daunting.
Yeah. So,
Go out this door, hon?
yep. So this is one of our volunteer elderberry plants that I'll be transplanting and taking cuttings from as time goes on. We have some elderberry plants that we're selling that they're potted up over in the greenhouse, along with fig trees and red currants, black currants, hosta berries, and ornamental grasses. What else do we have over there?
Oh my God, we have,
Lemon balm,
yep, we got lemon balm, we got rosemary, and we have the locust,
yeah, honey
right?
locust.
Honey locust, right? Trees, and chestnuts and service berries. Okay, we have arrived at the central garden.
Chinese chestnut trees are the ones that we have.
Okay, here you go.
So up against the workshop wall, we have the second growth of the, oh Lord,
Comfrey.
comfrey, Bach 14 comfrey. Thea started harvesting some of the broccoli in here.
Yep.
What did-
And it got so hot that we had a couple of them bolt, you know, and the
Yep.
flowers were there, so we cut them back so they could start trying again, you know, to make the part we want.
Yep. Do you want to walk down between the plants so we're
sure.
not looking at you in the building?
Oh, yes, that would be nice. So yesterday I went out and I got, you know, some, so I probably in the next couple of days, there's other heads starting, but they're only like an inch, you know, in diameter. And then over here, the kale is very happy.
This is a red Russian kale in this row here. We got a couple of volunteer tomatoes we got to weed out of here. But so how have you been doing with harvesting the kale? You started off by thinning the kale bed, right?
Right, and then we froze that, and it's in the freezer. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if in the next several days I can come through, do a big harvest, and just totally fill that freezer with kale. And that'll be enough for us for the winter. The rest of the kale we'll either eat this summer, you know, because we use it every single day, and the rest we'll just, you know, put out there on our soil making pile.
Yep. So we can use this just like if people can use lawn clippings. All the big kale leaves can be used as well as a mulch. So a variety of uses, and every time you're cutting back the top of these plants, you're cutting back a little bit of the root mass, and that feeds the microorganisms in the soil as well. So this past week we did get the tomato cages. I did post a video on the tomato cages here.
Yeah, boy, they look really good, don't they?
Yep.
And they were, I swear they're growing like 5 inches every day.
Yeah.
You know, it's just amazing. So I'm looking forward to fresh tomatoes. We still have in the freezer from last year bags of frozen sliced tomatoes. And that, you know, we have a lot left, and leftover I'll just make sauce. And then as soon as the fresh ones come, we'll start eating the fresh ones.
Yeah, and this type of tomato, I made quite a few videos on the San Marzano tomatoes. So this cultivar of San Marzano tomatoes, There are many, many different cultivars now. There's some determinate, which these ones are determinate, meaning that they're going to all basically produce tomatoes over a short period of time, as opposed to an indeterminate one, which are more of a vining one, and they're continuously producing over and over again. This cultivar has been developed so that it all comes at one time, which works really great for us in our season. These can beautifully, they taste fresh, wonderful. They have less water content as well. So we really like these a lot. Now, we experimented with many different heirloom varieties and indeterminate varieties and all. And honestly, I wanted a variety that would be less work for us, because the indeterminates, you're constantly changing the height of the tomatoes, or you're extending the vines out in other areas and all. With it being a determinate one and not having a big, bulky, juicy tomato, having, what's the common tomato that?
The beefsteak?
No, I mean the ones that are similar to this, the shape.
Roma.
The Roma. So these are similar to Roma tomato, sort of a pear-shaped tomato, and they taste delicious. I think they're more pest resistant as well. I can't prove that. But we have, we're very blessed that we have so many different kingbirds and flycatchers here. They really keep our pests under control. I believe the weed mats help to keep the pests under control as well. And we'll be experimenting over there with more living paths to talk about that. But we're real happy with our San Marzano tomato variety that we picked. And by having just one tomato variety, you can save seeds from them year after year and be very confident that you're going to get a consistent plant. And of course, you can always develop your own variety as well. So what else we got here, honey?
So then we have a lot of red onions, which we did last year. They turned out great and big. And my girlfriend just told me this week, because she had some of ours we gave her last year, that they were the best red onions she ever tasted. So they're doing well. We also had extra, so in our handicap garden, we put the extra plants that we had started of red onion, and they're also doing well. Okay. And the next row that Kevin will walk to is our banana peppers.
Yep.
We did have a critter come bite down the top of a couple down the row, you can see, and. Yep. And all, but at least they left us some, and they are great producers. They produce an awful lot of peppers per plant.
Right.
And more than when we had experimented with the bell peppers.
Well, with the bell peppers, what we found was the time required in the bed to get a full, bountiful supply of peppers from them really was longer than our season really allowed. We have a pretty short season here. We're zone 5A, and it can be real challenging if we have a longer duration to full maturity of the plants.
Yeah. Yep.
Over here we have the blue potatoes. The leaves don't show that much blue at this point, but there is blue in it. They will produce blue flowers before too long. And this is one of the areas here that we will be putting a living path. We're going to try using white clover and Roman chamomile, and we'll see how that works. I don't care if there's some purslane in there, but we want to try and keep our grasses out. I'm not hilling the potatoes this year, so I'm not taking any extra soil and hilling them up. I thought about it and all. We'll see how well these potato plants produce the potatoes that we want. So we have two different types, and we'll be going over to the eastern garden plot now.
Okay.
This is the central garden plot. So this is an automated timer. And I will say this, the timer broke again, another one of our Orbit timers. We have to keep resetting these, unfortunately. And it wasn't getting watered yesterday, but I discovered that last night, and I watered it last night because I could see some of the tomato plants, which really require a great deal of moisture. And so, like the drip tape that's on here, I have it go for 36 minutes each evening, once an evening, and that works extremely well. Now we got rain for the first time in several days. Last night we got 0.76 inches, so 3/4 of an inch of rain last night. Now we're going to the eastern garden plot.
Do you want to go through this side gate here, hon?
Yes, yeah. So we've got our scarlet. This is one of our cattle panel trellises. That's all cardboard sheet mulched in here with wood chips and the vines from last season's bean production. But these are the scarlet red runner beans on each side.
Look how pretty the flowers are coming.
Yeah, and the hummingbirds absolutely love these ones. So these are off to a pretty good start. I do some flame weeding. That's why there's that piece of aluminum up there at the top and all. So what do you want to say about the beans, honey?
The beans, and just so people know that, they're low to the ground now, but by fall time they will be up to the very top on both sides we planted. And it's really cool to, be sitting there taking a break together and watching these hummingbirds coming all in and getting
Right.
their nectar and all.
So here we have our sweet corn. I went ahead, and I'll remind people what I did do previously with the sweet corn. I went ahead and soaked the kernels, and I used the Earthway seeder and the swollen kernels. And that was an attempt to just get a little bit of a head start on the corn. But it didn't go through the seeder very well, and they popped all over the place. So there's a couple of oddball plants along in here, but then I came through with the dry kernels. And of course, critters do get in here at nighttime. The cats are always in and out of here. So they did some damage. And then you put something down the center.
Yes, I put the soy
Yep, soybeans.
beans down because they're nitrogen fixing, right?
Yep.
And so I did that last week. Haven't seen anything come up, but I put them actually down the center and also the sides. And then we had enough of the, what's that called, that bacteria stuff?
It's a nitrogen fixing bacteria that we inoculate. What we do is we moisten the seed, the soybean, with the nitrogen fixing bacteria. And that allows, when the soybean is being produced, it works with the bacteria to actually fix nitrogen. And when you're talking about fertilization, so we don't use fertilizers here in our property. We use mulch, we use compost. So what we're doing is allowing the microorganisms in the bed to produce the fertility necessary to feed the plants. So actually it's the microorganisms that are feeding the plants here on our property.
Yep. Okay, and then you had where you tried to do carrots.
Yeah, we bought carrot seed this season, and I used the Jang seeder to go ahead and put those down, and none of the seed, not one of the seed actually germinated. So then Thea came through and put some red kidney beans in here.
Yeah, kidney beans, yep. And put kind of 2 rows alternating, although they didn't all come up like I wanted, but like a little triangle,
Yep.
here. But they're bush ones, so they're nice. They don't go all over the place. And also
Yeah.
there's this bed and that bed.
Yeah, 2 beds. We had initially planted 2 beds of the carrots, and so I decided, all right, the heck with the carrots, since we'd have to buy more seed. We do have some grasses, got to do a little bit of weeding in here. I'm going to show Thea how to use the stirrup hoe and the wire weeder. And the goal is, and I use the tilther and the flame weeder to try and keep the weeds under control in this bed. And our goal is to make our pathways a living, growing organism. And so what we'll do is we'll inoculate the white clover with the nitrogen fixing bacteria so that the microorganisms in the path are producing nitrogen and fixing nitrogen into the soil. And with the fungi, they're going to go ahead and exchange nutrients with the rest of the organisms in the beds and all. So this is an experiment we're going to be trying. We'll see how well it works. We just don't know yet. So
Then the next one are the hot peppers, jalapeno.
these are just hot jalapeno peppers and all. So we have a little more weeding to do here. You can see they're actually starting to produce some peppers at this point. So we bought these from a nursery friend of ours, and so we'll see how these plants do. We've got them somewhat separated. There could be some cross-pollination from our banana peppers over there, but we'll try and save seed from them and see how well they work. I don't mind if the sweet peppers get a little hot. Thea will, but I don't mind. And these are our russet potatoes. And we've done all modifications to these beds this year. We really reduced the number of beds because our potatoes used to be grown out over here, and we're not doing that at this point.
Yep. So then we'll probably walk over to the handicap garden, but on the way, just look at the flowers. So these are alternating German chamomile along with black-eyed Susie plants. And we're going to have a path in here too, right?
Yep, a living mulch, yep.
Yep.
The living, like a permanent crop row cover.
Like a crop cover kind of
Crop
thing.
cover, yep.
And here's more of the flowers, same type. And it continues right along the dog fencing down this with the flowers. And then we get to the sweet potatoes, which we did a little work on.
Go ahead, explain what we did.
So it had the soil there, and then Kevin got in the tractor bucket, brought several loads of the leaf mulch, and what we did is we went ahead and placed that all around. It helps with the nutrients. It helps also with keeping them moist, you know, so if we have those hot blistering days and no rain, at least the plants aren't drying up. Although we do have the drip tape, but still, you know, it's a lot for them because they're trying to make potatoes.
That's right. So this bed, this is where another hoop trellis was early in the spring, and we decided we weren't going to have the hoop trellis here anymore, and we grew more, and it was a much larger trellis as far as the height of the hoop and all over here than this one is. And years ago you'd see the sliding glass doors on the front of them here, but it was more work to maintain, and it was too close to the dog run, to the block wall. So we decided to try this system. We'll be putting the living pathways all around in here with the same seed. And when I used Elon, the excavator, and the tractors, Mini-Me, the B2601, I took the soil that was here and sort of piled it up, and the soil was not the greatest. There was compost mixed in with regular soil that was here and all. We did go ahead and amend the soil with some alfalfa pellets, so that was somewhat mixed in. I rototilled the area, and those of you who have been watching us for a while, we want to do minimum tillage and all, but this is one place I did do some rototilling right here to mix the material up. It does destroy the soil structure, but since I had already destroyed it using the excavator, I thought that was okay. And these sweet potatoes are the same one. We do a sweet potato series each year to see how well things are going. So this all came from one sweet potato or two sweet potatoes. Do you remember when you transplanted those beds? So there's a whole sweet potato series that we made.
Two sweet potatoes ended up making it, you know, living.
Right. Okay.
And so all these starting vine part of it came from just them. So eventually what's going to happen is these every year we think, oh, they're so contained, and then they start growing and they go like 5-6 feet out at least.
Right. And this drip tape that does this whole, this whole eastern garden plot comes on at 3 a.m. and it goes for 36 minutes. It's just a very gradual drip system. There are just a couple of weeds in here we got to pull out. But these guys will grow like crazy and cover this whole area up. And fortunately with this fencing right here, that discourages the deer from jumping the fence at all.
Because they were jumping the white, you know, fence
Oh
we
yeah,
had.
our Premier One fencing
Yeah,
and all.
like 4 foot or whatever it was, they were going right over it.
Do you want to start over in this?
Yeah, let's start here. So as I had mentioned, we had extra of the red onions. So because our strawberry plants didn't come up, we had extra room. So this 2 full rows and a little bit of the 3rd row. And look how good they're doing. I mean, they're just
Yeah.
doing great. There are a couple of strawberries those were from our prior year.
Yes.
That's in between. And we also had extra tomatoes. There's 33 over there. And then I had extra, and I didn't want to dump them in the woods. So I had a row. So I put them here for the heck of it, and they're growing. So we'll see what happens, with those.
Now these tomato plants, when these were put in, weren't inoculated with the mycorrhizal fungi.
Correct.
The ones over there were, and these were in pots longer. So they've really turned the corner since being in the pots for a long time. They're really looking like they're ready to take off at this point. So that's really good. But this is sort of what they look like. This one isn't doing as well.
When we put it in.
A week and a half or 2 weeks ago. But the red onions are coming on their own. We got purslane in between them. The purslane is edible. It tastes very good, but we have just too much of it. And what do we got over
And
here?
the dill's coming along. I just like that in the salad because we're not doing any pickles now this year. And we have 2 different types of sweet basil. This is the regular one people are used to, which I had planted, and then it didn't come up, and then all of a sudden it did. In the meantime, our garden friend gave us another version of the sweet basil, he said. So he says it's really tasty.
So what we need to do is pinch the very top so that these will become more bushy. So we just got to go through and pinch the tops and use the tops when we pinch them.
Yep. So there's 2 of those. And then the rest of this is our spinach, but it got too hot, bolted, so we're just saving for cedar compost.
Yeah, like many
there.
places in the country, it just got much hotter
Hot,
than usual
so
this year.
hot. And our last garden area over here, here's some more of the extra tomatoes. Last year's strawberries, yes.
Yep.
And see the runners, we're trying to go ahead and have the babies, and we put them under the drip tape, and then we'll spread and get a better population after that. And up a little further as Kevin's walking, there is, besides some weeds,
Parsley here.
yeah, it starts, right there. Should be a stick and goes all the way up to the corner.
And as these runners go by, we want to just keep moving them. They can set their roots down underneath the parsley and all.
And we just don't want them going like this one is on the going over the
Right.
edge, because it'll get in the crack of the blocks, and then you can't get them out without damaging the plant.
Timmy's helping. There
Come
we
on,
go.
Timmy Toosters.
Yeah, so this one already set root in here. Now we can disrupt those roots. I'll hold this camera here for a second.
Yeah, but at least the part that's on the paver or whatever it's called. Get
So
that
like
off.
we've got too close right here. So we've got a few here. So what I'm going to do is just reach down, grab this little section here, and move it around this. And just sort of put it like this. The mother here is going to meet the requirements for it. So we just want to try and keep moving these around so that we can either go towards the center of the bed.
Yep. Yeah, because that's where it's the barest,
Yep.
center.
Or go along the drip tape. So like right here, we got another one right here. And we'll get them to actually, even though these will be a little bit too close in here, they're runners. We can send them in the directions that we want them to go in.
Yep.
So that's a mission that we just have to do, is get out here and control the runners so we can propagate more and more of the strawberry plants, make them go in the directions, because if they get too close to the edge, they get in between the blocks and they aren't doing anyone any good. They're not getting the nutrients there or anything else. So do you want to?
I think that's
About
the
it.
tour,
We
right,
just-
hon?
Yep, we still have the herbs around the statue down there that are doing pretty well.
Yep.
We've got some weeds around it, but that's the lavender, the thyme, and the sage down there.
Yep. Yep. So they're really, really doing good. They're making their flowers, so I'm quite happy. So this is our garden tour. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and hit that subscribe button.
Okay. Thanks so much for watching, folks, and have a safe and great day. And think about doing more gardening. Times are going to be challenging in the future, and having as much food available for you and your loved ones is really a good idea.
Take care.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.